Good morning, everyone. It is good to be home. It is good to be back at City Hall. This is the place where we cut our teeth in governing, myself, AG Campbell, Mayor Wu. And as a city councilor, it's where I first came to work on the issue of student debt. In fact, Kim Janey, who is now the president and CEO of Empath, when that was the Crittenton Women's Union, as a Boston City Councilor and the chair and founder of the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, I met with women, low-income women, and I wanted to better understand the common threads of their circumstance. And one of the things that we learned in that discussion is that they had all attended for-profit colleges and universities. And that was where we first began to realize the deceptive business practices and the predatory marketing of for-profit colleges and universities. And as a city councilor then, I championed the need for a Know Your Rights campaign so that consumers and borrowers would be aware of the risk. Since then, every elected leader behind me and also now our sitting governor, Maura Healey, worked hard on that issue regarding the predatory practices of for-profit colleges and universities and the burden of that student debt. So I am grateful for the leadership of our Attorney General, Andrea Campbell. Thank you at a time when there is a deficit of trust in government and people are desperately seeking hope and a lifeline for your leadership with this office that is animated and proves, as I say so often, and I know that Mayor Wu shares this sentiment as does Senator Warren, that, policy are not these static documents that live on a shelf. Policy is dynamic. It can determine who lives, it can determine who dies, it can determine who survives. And as we heard from our two borrowers who have benefited from public service loan forgiveness, it can determine who thrives. And so this student debt, nearly $2 trillion crisis, is deeply consequential for so many in our Commonwealth. So again, it's a full circle moment to be here, and I'm grateful for the leadership and partnership of these great elected leaders and innovators behind me. As my colleagues have already pointed out, this crisis has only grown since our time on the City Council, with well over 800,000 borrowers in Massachusetts burdened by student debt amid the confluence of overlapping crises, from housing costs to a global pandemic, to the generations of policy violence that have denied Black and brown folks wealth building opportunities and contributed to the glaring racial wealth gap. But this event, this morning, is proof that despite the callous and I would say tone deaf and clueless decision by the Supreme Court, in that the legal authority by President Biden was clear, but this far-right extremist Supreme Court once again overturned the will of the majority of the people, and they got it wrong when they struck down President Biden's life-saving student debt cancellation plan. That is a plan that for my constituents in the Massachusetts 7th would have benefited 100,000. And for Black borrowers, 1 in 4 would have had their debt zeroed out completely. And for Latino borrowers, 1 in 2 would have had their debt zeroed out. But we are not giving up the fight to deliver this relief. As the saying goes, if you build it, they will come. Well, that's not true if no one knows about it. And as someone who came here, this is an adopted home. I came here to attend Boston University, raised in a single-parented household, taking out tens of thousands of debt to attend Boston University, and spent some 20-plus years after I defaulted on those loans paying that back. I was someone who worked for a member of Congress for 4 years, who worked for a United States Senator for 11 years, and I did not even know what was available to me. So it is so important that Attorney General Campbell is doing this, creating this office and these, and we thank her for her dedicated team that are connecting people to this valuable information. The other reason why that's important, that it's coming from a trusted voice, is because there are bad actors. There are people that will engage in fraud, that will pick up the phone and you'll think that they're helping to connect you to this program, but they're really just seeking to get your personal information. Something else I know the AG's office will pay attention to and crack down on. But again, I want to thank Attorney General Campbell for her leadership for leveraging her position as the Commonwealth Student Loan Ombudsman to get the word out about programs like the Public Service Loan Forgiveness and ensure that those that qualify have access to the resources intended to help. It is hard not to get emotional when you listen to our borrowers that just spoke about the profound impact that this will have on families. When Senator Warren and I hit the road last October to hear the stories of what student debt cancellation could mean to and for families, we heard just how transformational it could be. Teachers who dedicated their lives to educate our babies, but who stood to lose their licensure to teach if they didn't pay off their loans. Grandmothers in their 70s having their Social Security payments garnished. Young couples who want to grow their families, buy a home, start a business, but can't because of the ballooning student loan debt. And of course, Black and brown borrowers who have been systematically denied the opportunity to own or build generational wealth, in that Black Americans were locked out of every major federal relief program in this country, from the GI Bill to the Homestead Act, and then continue to be targeted by redlining. So what we see happening here today, this is the type of transformative policy that sends ripples forward for generations, which is why, as Senator Warren and I continue to work with President Biden and Secretary Cardona to pursue other avenues to deliver the broad-based cancellation to the people that was promised, we're going to do everything we can to connect people to relief now in this moment. Please know that we are going to be exhaustive in the fight for broad-based student debt cancellation because borrowers are exhausted. And as I close, I do once again want to give credit to Governor Healey and thank her for her longstanding partnership on this issue. Previously as our Attorney General, now as our Governor, you may recall she announced a life-changing student loan cancellation plan for healthcare workers in our Commonwealth. So we applaud her leadership and thank her for her partnership as well. Again, clinics like these are more urgent than ever before, especially now that student loan payments have resumed after more than 3 years. But I know that families across this city and across our Commonwealth will not allow us to rest on our laurels. And so with that, I want to turn the microphone back to our esteemed and indefatigable Attorney General, Andrea Campbell.